Приветствую, коллеги! С вами снова я, Ольга Еременко, команда Photo and Money. Сейчас мы пообщаемся с Кевином Куботой. Кевин фотограф, производит массу продуктов, в том числе книги премиум класса, различные программы для фотошопа. Сейчас мы узнаем, что это за гениальный человек, который делает столько всего. Hello, Kevin.
Hello.
How's
I'm not sure what you just said right there, but hopefully it was nice things.
I'll translate you right now what I said. Because I'm going to ask you several questions about your works, about Suka books. I've got some presets to my Photoshop.
Yeah.
It's called Kubota Light.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's amazing. I use it all the time.
Great.
So, the first question is who you are right now? Businessman, photographer, or something else?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm always a photographer. Photographer is the main thing that I identify with, but I've also been shooting professionally for about 20 years. And so my path as a photographer has changed, where I have been a wedding photographer for 20 years, and I actually retired from shooting weddings specifically last year. And so now I do more of my own personal projects with photography. So the lighting projects, I'm trying to do more charity work, charity events and charity projects in general. And it's a nice evolution to be able to do what I really want with my photography, rather than only doing portraits and weddings and commercial work, which I've done, which I love. But so that's kind of where I am with the photography. And I really enjoy the teaching, so I'm doing a lot of workshops. We have a boot camp, a week-long workshop in Oregon, and workshops that we're doing here. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy that.
You're doing lots of projects. Do you have time for all this? How are you doing it? What's the secret?
Good question. The secret is to have great people helping me, and I really do. I have a great staff. My wife helps to run the business, and I have a team of awesome people that help keep me on track and to help with the project. So I can't do it all myself.
Yeah.
Need help.
If you could do it by yourself, well, I suppose you must be a Superman.
Right, yeah. Superhero, maybe.
Superhero, non-sleeping superhero, yeah? I know that you have been to Russia a couple of years ago. Would you like to visit it again?
Could be.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so?
I had a really great experience there.
What it was? It was a workshop.
I did a workshop on Lightroom workflow, postproduction.
Lightroom postproduction. It's amazing. It's very interesting. You do it by yourself after you shoot wedding, and next, who's doing postproduction on pics?
Me.
You? You do it by yourself. You are a unique person. Because everybody I'm asking, everyone have a team or outsource company who's doing
Yeah,
it.
outsourcing is very popular, but we've tried the outsourcing, but I haven't been happy with not having it look exactly the way I want. And so the only way to do that is to do it myself. And I do recommend, if you don't have time, if you can train people to do it, that's great. Again, I don't do a lot of volume. I prefer to have smaller number of clients that I can really spend time with. So I'm not shooting 100 weddings a year. When I was shooting weddings, it was, at my peak, maybe 40, 45 weddings per year. And then over the last few years, 20, 25 is all I wanted to do. So that gives me time to, and my workflow is good. I can get through it very quickly, a couple hours and done.
Kevin, what do you think? Is there any trends in post-production?
Well, there's the trend towards the outsourcing, which you mentioned, I know has become popular. But Lightroom is the big trend. Everybody's stepping away from Photoshop. People still use Aperture, but I think Lightroom is the key. And there's so many things with the new version of Lightroom coming out that make it even more effective as a workflow tool. So I know a lot of photographers don't use Photoshop anymore, just Lightroom.
And what about trends in post-production picture? More glamorous picture, more
style-wise?
Style,
Yeah.
Style. Is there any trends in style?
The trends that I like, or that I've seen, there's a lot of very, very crisp and vintage-looking styles. I think that people are so they've had so much of the modern, they have so much of the technology, and they're overwhelmed. So they tend to want to go back to the more classic vintage kind of looks to things, and that's what I've seen a lot of people doing, and we have a lot of presets that are great for that as well, for the vintage styles. There's one particular in one of my sets in the Vintage Delish called 65 Fastback. I don't know if you've tried that one yet, but If you get a chance to try that one of my Lightroom presets, you'll love
Yeah.
it. 65 fast.
Oh, everybody wanna know from when your photography career begins. When you begin to make a shoot.
When do you make it? That's a great question. For me, it took about 5 years, I think, before I really felt I was becoming successful. A lot of hard work, but I also started 20 years ago, and there wasn't a lot of education like there is now. So today, with all the education, the online, the conventions, and the videos, I think if someone really applied themselves, and if they're shooting a lot of personal projects, which I talked about in the workshop a little bit, you can get yourself very successful within, some people I know, within a year, 2 years sometimes. But I think 2 to 3 years is a good time. If you're really working hard, 2 to 3 years as full time, you should be able to do it.
Why you choose photography? Why not something else? Why you choose photography?
Honestly, because I started a different career, fashion design.
Oh, really?
Yes, that was my first career. I went to college, studied fashion design, and I worked in that business for about a year, and I hated it. Didn't like the industry at all. It was just too much. It was too much about the getting everything cheap, you know, and call them sweatshops. I don't know where it's just cheap, fast labor, and it wasn't a very glamorous business as I thought. There wasn't a lot of creativity as I thought, and so I quit, and I had no job, and I had always done photography since I was a kid as a hobby, and I just decided to try photography.
Why not? Yeah?
Why not? Try it. I had no job anyway, right? So
And it works.
And it worked.
Worked amazing. Yeah.
It worked out well. Yeah.
So, what's the style of Kavin Kubota? Because Kavin Kubota is a brand. And what's the style of this brand?
I think the style would be, I'd like to think it's real as a brand and empowering. So that could apply to the photography or the teaching and the workshops. But I try to be as genuine as possible and as open with my emotions and my feelings with my photography, with my clients, and letting them know exactly what I'm feeling so that they can give that back to me. And I think with the workshops, you know, I give everything. I tell everybody everything I know. I don't hold anything back, and I really want people to be successful. So I feel that's important.
That's why everybody loves you, yeah. And now I know why, yeah, really. Oh, Kevin, thank you. I saw, yeah. Now I know why, yeah. So thank you very much for the interview. Hope to see you soon in Moscow and have a good time on a WPPI.
Yes,
thank
you. Appreciate it.
So I think we need to say hi, bye in Russian, yeah? It's gonna be
I say спасибо.
Пока.
Пока.
Пока. Пока.